So for our fish pose, there's a couple different ways you could do it. Take it your favorite way. I'm just gonna go low. So one block low and then the other block medium for the head. But you could go vertical, horizontal, you could go higher height if you wanted to. So you do you. And we'll just come down for a second. Oh. And yeah, let it go. So the latissimus, the lat muscles are in the back. And here, obviously, we're doing more stretch for the front, but they can balance each other out. So as you're laying here in this position, legs can be bent or straight. Just think about this openness across the collarbones, the front of the chest. And see if you can find the openness without aggression. So we could go really hard with this and just, pop the chest out as much as we can, but see if instead you can soften a little bit, even though you are in a little bit of a back bend. And can you relax all sides of your neck? The sides of the neck, the front of the throat, back. And just allow your breath to move through you. And in a moment here, we'll start to create a little bit of movement in the arms. And I'm going to purposely be not so specific with the direction. So you could do kind of a back and forth. You could do more of a snow angel. You could go up and down. Now, depending on how your block is situated, some of you have it up and down, and the shoulder blades in that case will not be touching the block. You'll be able to feel them moving. Those of you who have the block going across the upper back, the shoulder blades will kind of press against the block as you're moving the arms around. Take a little bit more of anything here. And then we'll do one more position. This one we will go all together. So take the arms right in front of your chest and draw them back slightly, not all the way back, just a little bit. And then bend the elbows a bit out to the sides and feel what happens in your shoulder blades and in your collarbones when you turn the elbows in towards each other, creating some rotation. And can you keep the rotation and re-lengthen the arms? And again, they don't have to go too far back. Yeah. All right. And then let the arms relax. In a second here, we will come off of the blocks. So just however disturbs your body the least, come up, move the blocks, and then just lay back down again. And notice how it feels once you're down. Notice if your breath has changed. And we'll add in a little bit of a head turn, just to side, like you're saying no. And in our class today, we'll be doing stuff both to strengthen the lats and also to open. So, and some people debate about which is better to do first. I think either way works. So from here, friends, let's bend the knees and you'll roll over onto one side. It doesn't really matter which side you're on. And here's where we'll use one block and we'll angle it like so. So you'll angle it on the diagonal and then you'll come down. So the block is not right in the armpit, it's slightly lower than that. And you're on the side and you can either hold onto the head with the bottom arm or with the top arm. Now, if you have a device other than a block, if you're lower, you'll probably want to go on the bottom arm. And if you're higher, you'll want to go on the top arm. So once you're in this position, friends, just in a very gentle way, start to rock forward and back. I need to adjust my block a little bit. Forward and back we go. And you'll find some little spots in there. It can be kind of a sensitive area. So in addition to lats, we're also getting into the serratus anterior, which is just kind of sensitive on the side ribs, right under the armpit. And then let's pause here in the back position, not all the way back, just a little bit back. And then can you do kind of a cat-cow in the upper body, in the upper back? See how if you have a really hard block, this one might not feel so good. So if that's you, you can use something else instead of a block. Let's pause next time you're in the open position and take the top elbow a little bit wider. Let's inhale. And then as you exhale, take the top elbow and just kind of close it up. So do that a few times. Inhale to open and exhale to close. More times. Yeah. And then let's come back to center here and press yourself up for a moment to sit. And let's take a little check-in before we swap sides. So you'll just bring the arms up overhead and see if one arm is able to move a little more than the other arm. Yeah, likely the side you were just working on has a little bit more room to go. So let's try the other side. Come on down and we'll do all the same things. I'm going to use my block here. You could do that or use a blanket or a foam roller or something else. If you have the block, angle it on the diagonal. You can support with the bottom arm or the top arm. And then at first, let's just take our little rock forward and back. And you might notice one side, it's a little more sensitive than the other, or a little more bound up. So one of the benefits of doing this before we do the work is that it just gives you a little bit more range of motion in general. And it also brings more awareness into the area that we'll be focusing on. So that's one of the things I like about doing it in the beginning of the practice. Let's pause next time you rock slightly back and then do a little cat-cow in the upper back. All right, and then we'll pause here. And I don't think I said it on the other side, but for this last bit, you'll want to use the top arm to support the head. On the inhale, you'll turn a little more open. And then on the exhale, you'll close. Do that a few times. All right, and then let's pause here. Let's press back up to sit and we'll just check out our arm lift, our shoulder flexion here. Come on up again. Oh, so much freedom. And just see, notice what you notice. I just want to keep doing this. All right, let's release that. Just take a little wiggle. And then we'll turn over coming to all fours position. So one way to activate these muscles is the pull, and which we do all the time in my class. So various pulling of the arms. Let's do cat-cow just the normal way, but then I'll add in a little bit. So just start to move through your cat and cow. And now every time you go into your cow pose, just a little bit, try to pull the hands towards your knees and move the chest forward. You can even take a little pause. And then you'll back off of that as you round in the cat. So every time you come to cow, just a little bit of a pull. Yeah, just waking up these guys in here and then round. Great, friends. And then we'll pause here, tuck the toes under and go back to child's pose. If you're able to do so, walk the knees back so that you're a little more hinged in the feet. This time do push. Push the mat forward with your hands. Notice if your heels are flopping apart, and if they are, can you hug in a little bit and press straight back through the inner heel. And if it feels okay to do more, walk the hands to the knees and come sit up. If that is not available, stay down. Yeah. All right. Now, those of you who are up, let's add in, take the arms up and pretend you're trying to do a pull-up here. Bend the elbows, lift the chest, create a little resistance. Let's do that 2 more times. So inhale to stretch up, exhale to bend and pull, and last time. Yeah. If nothing else, it was a great distraction from the feet. Let's take the arms down, untuck the feet, and just give them a little shake out. Yeah. And then from here, let's do one leg at a time at first. Stretch a leg back and give yourself some motion. And then let's do the second side. Yeah, so when you're ready, we'll head back into downward facing dog. You can take your time to get there. And from your position here, just pedal out the legs. You can shift the hips around a little bit if that feels good. Just whatever you need to do here. And then from your down dog position, let's pause, bend the knees a little bit, and just glance back at the knees and the feet without going anywhere. Can you pretend you're trying to press the feet apart like you wanted to stretch the mat? And look what happens to the ankles, to the knees, to the thighs. Now, sometimes we end up overdoing. So can you press out with the feet, but then draw the ankles in enough so the feet line up, but don't go further than that. Yeah, so there'll be some work going on in the outer thighs, little work going on in the feet. The knees are ideally tracking forward. And then very slowly, let's keep that idea as the legs start to lengthen. Doesn't matter if they go all the way straight, doesn't matter how close the heels are to the floor. All right, and then let's try that in a standing position. So separate your feet, bend the knees and walk your hands to the feet. And just prop up for a sec with the forearms to the thighs and move the hands around a little bit. Yeah. So remember we were doing cat-cow and we had those pulls. Let's do that in this position. So without moving the arms, try to pull them back towards your hip creases as the chest moves forward so that you engage on the back and also a little bit on the sides. And then let that effort go. Do that a few more times. So press the arms down and pull. And down. And then one more time here. Great. Stay in the position. Before we come up, let's press wide through the thighs. Press down through the ball of the big toe. And on the next inhale, come all the way up to stand. Lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms. Bring the arms down alongside you and just step the feet right underneath you. And yogis, we'll take a little hula hoop asana, circling around. Now, as you're circling around the hips, just feel what's going on in your feet. When you shift, the inner and the outer edges, front and back of the feet. Go the other direction. Excuse me. Yeah. Now let's stay here at the back of the mat. Keep your feet hips width distance apart and have a very slight bend in the knees. Now, like we did in our down dog, it'll be different here. Try to stretch the mat out by pressing your feet apart and notice how the inner ankle lifts a little bit. Let's keep that. Keep that press apart, the inner ankle lifts, spread out through the toes. And then can you press down the ball of the big toe without letting the ankle drop? Yeah, so keep pressing the feet apart, root down through the ball of the big toe, and then slowly stretch the legs straighter in this position. Yeah, so the inner ankles are lifting, the inner knees are lifting, the inner groins are lifting. You might be holding your breath. Yeah, relax and just pause. Good. Let's go with that again and we'll add in the arms. This time I'll say different instructions, but it's kind of the same thing. So bend the knees tiny bit. And this time, instead of the feet, press out wide through the thighs. It does the same thing, but it's just a slightly different focus. Lift the toes, spread them wide. The inner ankles, inner knees, inner groins are lifting, but then counter that by pressing down through the ball of the big toe. Slowly stretch the legs to straight. You can keep the rest of the toes lifted. And then all the way up come the arms. Urdhva Hastasana. It's so much work, isn't it? Inhale. On the exhale, let the work go. Bend the knees again, soften down, Uttanasana. Take a halfway lift. Lower yourself down and let's go to plank pose. Take your time to get there. And we're gonna start with the upper body and then the lower body. So once you're in your position here, just a teensy bit, let the chest sink down just a little. And now try to draw the chest forward and move the shoulder blades down the back, almost that pull effect. Keep that idea. Press into the floor and let the back lift slightly. The shoulder blades will widen a little bit. Now in your position, on your feet, can you shift a little forward, a little back, a couple of times? It's really good core work. When it feels like the soles of the feet are straight up and down, don't look, but see if you can sense it. Pause there. Okay. And then put the knees down. Let's come all the way down to the belly. Take a little break. You can rest your forehead on the hands if you like. You can wiggle the hips a little bit if you like. All right, so let's do this here in your belly down position. Slide the hands a little forward and take the elbows in. I'm going to scooch back a bit so I'm still on the mat. And then, like we did in some of the other shapes here, root down through the forearms and try to pull them back as you pull the chest forward to lift. And then relax. Do that a few times. Press down. Try to draw the arms back as you draw the chest forward and we pull up. We pull forward to come up and down. And take it one more time. Press down and pull. Yeah. Okay. And then come on down. Take a little rest. Take a little wobble. When you're ready, friends, we'll head back into downward facing dog. Take your time to get there. And then let's in down dog, we'll do something a little bit with the arms and then with the legs. Bend the knees just a bit and don't move your hands. Bend the elbows a little bit. Let them go out to the sides and then turn the elbows in towards each other. So the arms rotate. We did this on the blocks. And then from here, press the mat forward as the arms straighten and the hips go back. Now before we straighten the legs, at the tops of the thighs, press wide apart. Notice how the knees widen and the ankles widen. Draw the ankles in enough so the weight's more even on the feet, but don't go further than that. Then if you do, the knees will knock in. Slowly, keep that as the legs start to go straighter. That's it. The thighs are pressing apart. The ankles are countering by coming in, but only enough to counter the first movement. All right, and then to get out of this one, let's meet in a forward fold. Any way you want to go. Root down to rise up, inhale. And release the arms. Yeah, let's take another hula hoop here. Just around we go. And another direction. I'm glad you guys requested these because they're different things, but they actually work really well together. So next we'll take a variation of warrior one pose, but before we do it, let's stretch out the calves. You could either go to down dog, I'll just show how that would look. Down dog with the right leg a little forward, bend the left knee, or you could go hands to the wall, step the right leg back, kind of like a lunge position. So you choose. And then whatever shape you've taken, it's the right leg getting the stretch. Press the heel towards the floor, whether or not it actually gets there, doesn't matter. And then let the hips just take a little side to side, a little back and forth. Yeah. And then when you're ready, change legs. Now it's the left one getting the stretch. If you're at the wall, you're in this kind of lungy position. Everybody press the back heel towards the floor and then let the hips take just an easy, gentle slide from side to side a couple of times. All right, and then let's come out of that one, back to center. If you're in down dog, go ahead and just come up to stand. Then from here, let's head to the front of the mat, and in a little bit, you might want blocks, have them handy. And we'll start with the hands to the hips. Right leg will step back with the heel down on the floor, and it doesn't have to be a crazy long step. Yeah, we'll be here for a little bit. It'll be kind of warrior one-ish. So in this position, orient your torso forward. The back foot, the arch tends to collapse. Go ahead and don't hurt yourself, but let that happen. And sometimes that pulls on the knee, as Mary pointed out earlier. So let's adjust the back foot. Can you press the heel, right heel down into the floor, and also try to press it back and see if that helps lift the inner ankle, the inner knee, the inner groin. Yeah? And then just relax. Let's do it again. Press the heel down and also press it back. Yeah. Let's keep that. Take the arms up. Inhale. On the exhale, we do our pull-up. So bend the elbows, bend the front knee, and hinge a little forward. And on the inhale, we'll come back up. You can have the palms face each other. Do this a few times, friends. And every time you pull, pretend it's kind of challenging. So you create a little resistance. You'll feel some work going on through that middle back region. Couple muscles in there, the middle trapezius, the lats, and our trusty serratus again. So let's pause the next time we're in the down position. Stay here, inhale. And as we exhale, let the elbows come towards each other, let the upper back round a little. And then on the inhale, we'll open up. Do that one a few times. So the exhale, we come in. And the inhale, we open up. One more time. And then from here, friends, let's lengthen out the front leg. Take your hands down, probably on blocks, maybe on the floor. Any height is fine. And then take a couple times now. We'll bend and straighten the front leg. And this time it'll be more of a hamstring stretch for the front leg. And then guess what we're going to do? We're pay attention to the front foot. So let's pause with the front leg almost but not quite straight. Yeah? And then from here, if you're able to lift the toes off the floor, but not the ball of the foot, just the toes themselves, do so. And from this position, try to draw the foot forward as the hip draws back and the leg starts to lengthen. And with the toes lifted, think of the inner ankle lifting, the inner knee, the inner groin lifting. Can you keep the lift as you put the toes down? And for this version, if the answer is no, go ahead and keep the toes lifted. That's fine. Yeah. All right. And then to get out, let's bend the front knee. Take the chest forward and the arms back, this kind of diagonal, and we're just going to step forward. Yeah. And then up we come. All right. So let's set up for the second side here. Hands to the hips, left leg back with the heel down on the floor. And we'll pay attention at first to the back foot. So just notice what happens if you're not paying attention. And for a lot of us, we kind of collapse to the inside of the foot, which for some of us pulls on the knee. Let's see what happens differently when you press the heel down and press the heel back. Yeah? And then undo. Do it one more time. Heel presses down, heel presses back. Think of the inner ankle, inner knee, inner groin lifting on the left side. Let's take the arms up. Inhale. On the exhale, we do our pull-up. Bend the knee and create a little resistance in the arms as you hinge. And then on the inhale, return to center. Take that a few more times. Now, just for this version today, make it a little harder than it is so that you get some engagement through that middle upper back. And then we're going to stay in the hinged position. Once you're there, inhale to stay. And then on the exhale, let yourself round. Elbows come closer together. Inhale to open. Take that one a few more times. And every time the elbows open, think of just pulling the shoulder blades towards your spine. All right, friends, when you're done, let's re-lengthen the front leg, bring the arms down to the floor or to the blocks, and then just take a few rounds to bend and straighten the front leg just to stretch the hamstring for this version. Now let's pause when the front leg is almost but not quite straight. Lift the toes themselves, but keep the ball of the foot down on the floor, and then try to press the foot forward as the hip draws back and the leg starts to go straighter. Now, you might not go all the way straight. Wherever you are is fine. Keep this going on, and before you put the toes down, think of lifting, inner arch, inner ankle, inner knee, inner groin. Yeah? Keep the lift, and if you can maintain the lift and put the toes down, great. But if you lose it, just keep the toes up for now. We won't be here for too long. Good. Now, another thing to try, we didn't do it on this first side, but at the very tops of the thighs, just very gently, think of pressing apart right to left. And sometimes that helps too, the arches in the feet. All right, to get out of this, let's do the same thing. Bend the front knee a little bit, take the arms back around the diagonal, and then we just step forward and up. Yeah, all right. So let's move the blocks out of the way and we'll take another moving pathway. So keep the feet a little bit apart. Let's inhale the arms up. And then as you exhale, do that cactus position and also chair pose in the legs. Let's do a few of these. And every time you come down in the legs, try to press the thighs apart, lift the toes, and then let them relax a little when you come back up. So the thighs press apart, the toes lift. Keep doing that. And now recreate a little bit of effort here. Like it's fairly challenging to do this pull up. I've never done a pull up in my life, but I can imagine it's pretty hard. All right, last one. Last one, we'll stay in the down position. If the toes came up, you can set them down. On the next inhale, straighten the legs, move the chest forward. And then on the exhale, let's come down, forward fold. Or if you wanted to do a half forward fold and let the arms rest on the legs, you could do that. Just let the legs relax here and take a bit of movement, whatever feels good to you. Yeah. And then in a sec, we'll go into our plank pose. Let's take a half lift. And then from here, let's go step the legs back to plank, but I'm actually gonna have us come into forearm plank. So put the knees down, let's come all the way down to the belly, and we'll get there from the ground up. So options, I'll tell you a few options, but I'll tell you the option I prefer. So let's have the elbows under the shoulders. If you can have palms down, do. If that buggers up the shoulders for you, you can have palms up or interlace the fingers, yeah? Palms down does get you a little bit more into the lats. So if you're able to do that for this version, go ahead and do. And before we come up, let yourself just kind of slump down for a second. First, broaden the collarbones, engage the upper back, and you'll lose that when we come into the next part. Now, can you lift up through the belly? The shoulder blades will widen a little bit. Let's tuck the toes under, come onto the knees, and then either stay on the knees or stretch the legs back to straight, yeah? Now your forearms, press them down into the floor. The shoulder blades will actually widen a little bit. And then without going anywhere, try to press the forearms apart a little, not max capacity. Notice that'll engage, you'll feel that somewhere. And then do the opposite, try to pull them in towards each other, and that'll engage something else. Yeah, one isn't better than another, they're just different. All right, and then come down, have a little rest. You can just come all the way down, take a little moment here. All right, we're gonna go again. So when you're ready, let's set it up. Elbows under the shoulders, forearms parallel if you can, palms down if you can't. If you need to take a different position, I get it. The other positions do a better job of rotating the shoulders, so you get different benefits for different versions. All right, from here, just let yourself sink for a second, and then try to broaden the collarbones. This is kind of like Sphinx pose. And then you'll lift up through the belly. The broadening of the collarbones will lessen somewhat. And then let's come onto the knees. Tuck the toes under, press the legs to straight, press the forearms down, and now try to press them slightly forward. Don't be too aggressive with that, just a little bit. Yeah, bend the knees slightly, and let the belly lift a little more, and it's okay if the back is slightly rounded for this version. Yeah, let's walk the knees in, put them down, and rest in child's pose. Oh, yeah, if you wanted to add in a little bit of movement here, you could. All right, friends. Let's stay down here and we'll turn over to one side. Just pick a side, doesn't matter which. And you'll prop here on the forearm and elbow, and you can decide the angle. Yeah, so let's have the upper arm straight up and down, but the lower arm might be more in front, more to the side, wherever you are is fine. Let yourself just sink down for a second, and then you'll press into the forearm, lift, and we want to feel some engagement right around the side. You can use the other hand actually to feel if it's turned on, and then keep your hand there and feel how it's different when you relax. Yeah, so let's go one more time. Press and lift, and just a little bit. Try to draw the elbow towards your hip. Don't be too aggressive with that, just a little bit. Now, if you want, you can come up lifting the hips off the floor. If that feels like it's not a great idea, keep the hips down. Yeah. Now, if you're up here, or even if you're not, let's take the top arm overhead. Turn to look down towards the floor. Inhale. And then on the exhale, bend the elbow and turn to look up towards the ceiling. Let's do just 2 more of those. Inhale, we reach. Exhale, we bend. Inhale, we reach. Exhale, we bend. Take a rest. All right, great. So you can just flip over. I'm gonna turn around so my back is not to you. And if your mat, my mat's a little hard, I'm gonna fold mine over so I have a little extra padding. So it's the new elbow on the floor. You can adjust the angle and let yourself at first just kind of sink down, relax. Yeah, if we were to go up in this position, there's no stability in the shoulder, and over time it's not good. So before we even come up, can you press the forearm down, lift up, yeah, take the other hand and feel it turn on, yeah, and then feel the difference when you sink down, yeah? Let's go again, press, lift, and just a tiny amount, try to draw the elbow towards the hip. Don't overdo that, just a little bit. Yeah, when you're ready, up you come if you are, and if you're not, you can stay down there. Now let's take the top arm overhead, look down towards the floor, inhale. On the exhale, bend the elbow and turn to look at the ceiling. Do a few more of those. Inhale to stretch, and exhale, bend. One more. All right, down we come. Rest, yeah? Let's just sit for a second. Move the arms in and out a couple of times. Yeah, let's do this. Hands on the legs and just circle around a couple of times. And then other direction. All right, friends. So let's get back into standing. Just get there, no fanfare. And we'll come into some of our other standing poses, and we'll work on both the feet and the lats, yeah? So you can join me here in the middle of the mat. Take your feet wide apart, and I'll mirror you for this part. So let's take the left leg, that'll be the back leg, let it turn in. Right leg turns out. Set up for warrior 2 here. Let's bend the right knee, and just for a sec, lift the right heel a little bit, yeah? Keep going until it feels like the chin is more or less straight up and down. And then can you set the heel down and lift the toes up off the floor? Do the best you can with that. From the inner ankle, inner arch of the foot, inner ankle, inner knee, lift. But then at the same time, can you kind of drop down, not so much the outer knee, but the outer hip. Yeah, so it's like a big spiral. Arch of the foot, inner ankle, inner knee goes up, and then outer hip wraps down. Can you keep that and let the toes relax? And if not, and if you need to keep the toes up for now, that's fine. Now, similar in, not exactly, but similar to what we did in Warrior One, on the back heel, can you press down and back? But don't do too hard, just a little bit. Yeah. All right, so the legs are fired up. Let's take the arms up, palms face out, and then pretend that there's something really thick and heavy that you're pressing against as the arms go wide. Eventually they'll go straight out from the shoulders, and pretend something's lifting up and you've got to hold it down with the arms. You can turn your gaze to look right if that feels okay. Nice. Now, can you keep this going on? The lift through the inner arches in the feet, the pressing down with the arms, but do it a little less so there's not quite so much effort. Okay. And then let's come up. We'll do the same thing on this other side. So turn the right leg in, turn the left leg out, and then as we bend the left knee, at first, let the heel lift up, just at first. And then keep going until it feels like the shin is more or less straight up and down. You'll bring the heel down and now lift the toes, not the ball of the foot, just the toes. Can you lift the inner arch, inner ankle, inner knee, and then at the same time, let the outer hip drop down. Don't be too aggressive with that. Just think of this spiral up through the inside, down through the outside. Keep that. On the back leg, press the heel down gently and back. Yeah. And then let's, if you can relax the toes and keep it, do. If you need to keep the toes lifted, that's fine. Let's take the arms up, backs of the hands touch, palms face out, and then in slow motion, create resistance. Press, press, press the air as the arms go wide. And once they're wide, keep holding down whatever you're pressing into. Gaze can turn left if you wish. Now, whatever you're doing, keep that going, but can you let some of the effort go so that it's softer? Yeah, it's not so aggressive. All right, friends, come back up to center. Let's parallel your feet. Come just together for a sec. We'll release it. Move around some. Yeah. We're going to go again, but with fewer instructions. Yeah, so let's go again. We'll go this direction. And just come into the pose with the legs, and we'll keep the hands to the hips. From here, let the pelvis tilt, going into kind of side angle, and then come back up and re-lengthen the front leg. Do that a few times. Every time you bend, lift inner ankle, inner knee. Yeah, good. All right, let's pause the next time you're in the down position. Rest the right forearm on the thigh, and then try to, just a little bit, pull it back so that you feel this, like when we were in those side elbow planks. And then take the other arm overhead, but look down to the floor. Let's inhale. And then as you exhale, do your pull up on the left arm, bend the elbow. You can turn the face to look up. Do this a few more times. So the inhale is stretched long, and the exhale, we bend and look up. Take it one more time. That's it, stay here. And then choices here, left hand could go back on the hip, or you could snake it around for kind of a half bind. You could either grasp the top of the right thigh or just keep the hand to the lower back. Yeah. On the next inhale, we come back up to center. Wow. And then let's change legs. We'll do the same thing on the second side. So bend the front knee, hands to the hips, and let the pelvis find that tilt. That's it. And then as you re-lengthen, reset, so the pelvis is a little more level. Every time you bend, lift the inner ankle, inner knee. Yeah. And then we'll pause next time you're in the down position. Yeah, stay here, left forearm to left thigh, and don't pull too hard, but a little bit. Try to draw the forearm back so this turns on. Let's take the top arm overhead. You can look down, inhale. On the exhale, the top arm does the pull-up. Yeah. And then on the inhale, we stretch it out. Do that a few more times. All right, friends, next time you pull the arm back, pause. Option, you could put the hand back on the hip, or you could take it around the back. It's kind of a half bind situation. Be gentle here, and if the shoulder starts to pop forward, back out a little bit and see if you can draw the head of the arm bone back before you go deeper. All right, on the next inhale, we come back up to the center. Let's parallel your feet. Bring the legs back in any way you'd like. Okay, and then just take a moment here. Yeah, let's do a little bit of, not super duper wide, but kind of medium stance. Pigeon toe the legs a little bit, bend the knees and bring the hips back and just rest forearms to thighs. Stay here, take a little side to side movement if that feels good. And like we did in many of the other poses here, pause. At the upper thighs, press out. See how that shifts the weight more towards the pinkies? Keep that. Can you lift up the toes and press down just the ball of the big toe? Yeah, it works here too, doesn't it? And then you'll let the toes relax, reset so the feet are parallel, and on the inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale the arms down. All right, so next we'll take a wide forward fold. Feel free to have any props under your hands, or you could even do it on a chair if you wanted to. So we'll separate the feet wide again. Before we go down, look and make sure, let's actually line up the knees. So take a tiny bend in the knees and make sure the knees track forward. We don't want the legs to be turned out in this position. So keep the tiny bend in the knees, hinge from the hip crease to go down. Land your hands right underneath the shoulders. And you can probably guess what we'll do here. Widen the upper thighs. Let's add in some work in the feet. Don't move the feet, but try to spread them out apart by pressing out through the feet. Yeah? Now, if we do that a whole lot, it starts to be too much on the outer part of the ankles. Can you lift the toes up? Bring the ankles in enough so the feet align, but don't, if you do too much, you collapse the other way. So just a little bit. Keep the toes spread and then slowly start to re-lengthen the legs, reset the toes back down. Now with this pressing out and hugging in, it's different for everybody. Some of us need more pressing out, some of us need more hugging in. It just depends. So we want, if you imagine walking barefoot in the sand, we want a nice even footprint on both feet. Yeah. Now let's keep that in the legs. Legs are pretty solid. Walk the arms forward for a second, any amount that you can, and go onto the fingertips if that's possible. If it's not possible, just stay where you are. And then from here, friends, if possible, start to walk the hands back any amount. Some of you might go hands in line with the feet. Some of you won't go that far. If you're forward, that's fine. If you're on the fingertips, that's fine. Whatever shape you've ended up in, if possible, bend the elbows even just a little bit. Can you turn the elbows in towards each other? And without going anywhere, try to pull the hands back as you broaden the collarbones and the chest pulls either down or forward, depending on where you are. Yeah, so we get the feet in, we get the lats in the same pose. How exciting. All right, let's back off. Reset, just the hands right under the shoulders. Heel to the feet in slightly before coming up. Widen through the upper thighs, tone through the belly. Keep that, hands to the hips, and come up on an inhale. Okay, bring the legs back in, just move around a little bit. Yeah. All right, so we'll balance in a second. Before we do, just pick up one foot, give a little circle. And then the other side. So when 2 feet are on the floor, it's fairly easy to do these actions because they have something to press against. When we're standing on one leg, a lot of times that's a recipe for the foot collapse to happen again. So just be mindful of that. And if you need to take a different version for today, it's fine. Let's bring hands onto the hips and just lift the right heel. So not the whole foot, just the heel. On the left foot, can you pick up the toes, spread them wide, see if you can find the inner arch, inner ankle lift. And if you need to keep the toes up, go ahead and do. If you're able to keep it and put the toes down, then set the toes down. And you can keep the right leg as is, or if you want to come up higher, you can. Not as any specific position. We're going to add in some movement in the head. All right, so once you're set, can you turn your head to look right? And then left. And then center. And down. And up. And center. And leg down. Yeah, that was it. All right, let's do the same thing other side. We'll start small. Hands to the hips. Just lift the left heel. And now on the right foot, lift the toes, spread out the toes. Think of inner arch, inner ankle, inner knee all lifting. Can you keep that and put the toes down? And if you need to keep the toes up, it's fine. And then if it feels okay to go higher on the left leg, go ahead and do. Oh, interesting. Yeah? Now, if you want to add in another thing, let the head turn left and right and center and down and up and center and down. Oh, all right. A lot of work in the feet. Let's do a little foot stretch. We've done it already. So come down to your hands and knees position. Now option, you can join me in the toe torture, the 2 legs at a time. If that's not what you want to do, just do this one, right leg back, do that a few times and then switch to left side. If you're up for both sides at the same time, you'll come back like so. Walk back through the knees, press forward through the hands. And you can stay down or you can come up to you. I'm going to stay down. And anybody, if you wanted to add in a little side to side sort of wiggle action, option. All right. If you came all the way up, let's come back down. And then everybody untuck your feet and just give them a little shake. Yeah. And then we'll spin around here, coming to sit. Let's stretch out the legs in front of you. And then both ankle, let's go like this. So they'll make some circles. And then other direction. Good, good. All right, friends. From here, let's make our way down onto your back. It's nice and easy, come on down. And then once you're laying here on the back, let's keep the right knee bent. Have the left leg long on the floor, arms anywhere, anything you want with the arms. Now the right foot, you'll just press the foot firmly into the floor and so much that the hip will kind of lift and it creates a little bit of a twist. And then you'll let the hip come down and set the right foot in a different spot. So it might go wide, it might go narrow, and go again. And every time you go, put the foot in a different position. You can also experiment with rotation. So you might do one where the foot and leg are turned out or in. And just notice the whole thing's slightly different depending on where we set up foot. Now, the next time you're pressing the foot and the hip is a little lifted, doesn't matter what orientation you're in, stay there. Take the right arm and just let it sweep up by your head. And then we'll undo the arm and the leg, change sides. Right leg goes long, left foot stands on the floor. You'll press the foot down so the hip lifts a little bit, and then down we come, new spot. We keep going like this, and every time you come back down, put the foot in a new position. You can experiment with the rotation, how close the leg is to the body, how far out. And then let's pick one, just stay there for a second, and then take the left arm, let it sweep out to the side and up, and you can even roll over a little bit towards the right. And then we'll come back down. Oh, I like that. And then release the leg and just let the legs do a little wiggle jiggle, in and out, flop. And then let's do another one. This one will be heel rock. So let the in and out settle. Press the heels into the floor and do a point flex, kind of a rapid point flex of the feet, which is pulling the whole body a little bit up and down. Yeah. All right, friends, let the movement start to quiet down, and we will head into Shavasana next. But of course, if there's anything else that you need to do, go ahead and do it. I'm gonna meet you sitting, and you come into whatever is your favorite Shavasana. And as you start to settle here, bring your awareness into your feet and ask the feet to relax completely and fully. Your attention just very slowly start to travel up the legs. If you notice any points of tension along the way, pause and ask that part of you to relax. Let's everybody pause when you get into the hips. Imagine that your hips could breathe. Traveling upward through the back body. Imagine the back of you widening, relaxing. Of any holding around the lower part of the shoulder blades, under the armpits, on the sides. Relax through the chest, collarbones, neck, the shoulders, arms. We're going to be holding around your face, eyes, eyebrows, mouth. Ask your whole self to relax a little bit more. Bring attention back to your body. Start to create some easy, gentle movement any which way. When you're ready, bend up the knees and roll over to one side. From there, take your time, come back up to sit. Hands at heart center. Thank your body, everything that it's able to do. And thank yourself for being here. Namaste.